Good evening, Democrats. How you doing tonight? Good to see you. 7 o'clock, let's get started. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody stand up, move your hats, please. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Take a look at your agendas and read them backwards. We're going to start from the bottom and work up. I feel like I'm back in Marty Emerald's office, man. We're going to go with announcements, so if you have an announcement, please line up here. And we have an informational item from one of our board members, Merrill Perry. Merrill, the floor is yours.
There's lots of material on the tables. Take them home with you. They are talking points. Some are about the environment and others are about politics. So please take them home, read them, and you can talk to your friends, neighbors, and nasty folks. There's also some stuff about the Cottonwood Sand Mine, and there are some postcards. They're asking us to send postcards to whomever, representatives that you are in with, and send them off. Say, I don't want it, it's not what we need, and send them off. So anyway, thank you. Take them home.
And I don't know if she still has seed packets to hand out, but we got a bunch of poppy seed packets from her, and our yard is just covered in California poppies.
I have redwood seeds too.
At this point, I'd like to bring up Michelle Krug. Michelle is the California Democratic Party Regional Director for our area. But before she starts, I've precinct walked with a lot of people. Back, what was it, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, Michelle? I can't remember when it was. It was a while ago. But I remember precinct walking with Michelle, right, in her home precinct. And I swear to God, people not only knew her, said hello. It's like precinct walking with our president, Tina. They invite her in, they offer her tea, they offer her sandwiches.
Hot chocolate.
I couldn't, I'm just like, damn, how did, you've been walking this one precinct for so long that they look forward to you coming, showing up with your checklist of people to vote for. And not only that, they start talking about family and friends and events. It's just, if you ever get the opportunity to walk Michelle's home precinct, please do. But here's our regional director for the California Democratic Party, Michelle Krug.
Now, have you ever heard a better advertisement for joining the Go Team? Honestly, that's honestly true. I mean, you walk your own precinct, you get to connect with your neighbors, and of course, Chris Pearson was doing it during a special election, and it was raining, pouring rain every day. Remember?
Yes.
It was horrible. The weather was horrible. Anyway, I am letting you know that they're still looking for volunteers. The California Democratic Party is holding our executive board meeting here in San Diego, which is rare, at the Sheraton San Diego Harbor, on Harbor, May 17th through the 19th. And they are still looking for volunteers for registration on Friday night. So if you do choose to volunteer, they will give you an observer pass free, and that lets you get into all the general sessions. Without an observer pass, you still, if you're not an e-board member, you still can get into all of the caucuses. There are 19 caucuses and 8 standing committees. So it's a great opportunity you always hear about all these caucuses, to actually see them in action and check them out. So I encourage it, if you've got some time, May 17th through the 19th, check out the caucuses, check out how the policies are created.
Can you tell us where to volunteer? Because I put in a volunteer and I never heard back.
at, on the cadem.org.
Okay.
And I'll give you an email address. If you email operations@cadem, CADEM.org.
Okay.
Or, and even copy it to Esteban, because I believe he's the one that's really looking at it, but operations goes to 4 people, including him. So Esteban@cadem.org is another way to do it. And I'm happy to give you my phone number, and I'm happy to follow up directly
Thank you.
with them as well. I know that there's gotta be some other major things going on. I'm sure someone will talk about the Roosevelt dinner, right? Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Next up is our Vice Chair Pro Tem of the East Area San Diego County Caucus, Andrea Beth Jansky. Andrea.
Thank you, Chris. I'm here to talk today as your newest elected director of Helix Water District. I want to let you know we passed our budget for next year. And even though last year was the year when we emailed all of our customers about rates for the next 4 years, we were able to reduce the expected rate increase this year because we had money falling from the sky. So when we have rain like we had last year, it means that we need to buy less water. So we had $1 million surplus. We had a $1 million surplus that we passed on to our customers in the form of a 1% reduction on the rate increase. So instead of a 3.9% increase this year, it will be 2.9% going into effect on your first bill that you will see July 1st. That's it for me.
Thank you, Water District Member Andrea Beth Jansky.
Yes.
Next up is Sarah Jacobs, Campaign Manager, Jackson. But let me preview what he's going to tell you about. It's the cutest freaking parade you'll ever see. It's in Kensington, and I swear to God, it's just up and down a couple of residential streets, and it ends up being all the kids run in and out of the parade route. It's really fun. Jackson, take it away.
Thanks. I mean, you said it better than I could because I haven't actually been to it yet. I'm excited. Hey, I'm Jackson. I'm running Sarah Jacobs' re-election campaign this year. She is currently in DC or on a plane to somewhere near DC or back to DC because their schedule's bonkers right now. It's appropriations week. But we're excited for the Memorial Day Parade in Kensington this year. We are looking for folks. I've been given basically just carte blanche to say hey, if anyone wants to come and I think technically it's volunteering, but to come and walk in the parade with Sarah and I, and if you want to meet her and ask her anything, that'll be a great opportunity to do so. So I have, I'll make sure to put my email address just as a general point of contact for any questions you have for Sarah anyway. But if you want to walk in the parade with us, that'd be great. It's on May 27th the 27th this year. So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, Sarah Jacobs was represented at the Earth Day festival we had here in La Mesa. And a couple of the volunteers that will help you with your passport, getting your passport renewed.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed it up and I haven't heard anything from them. Can
Gotcha.
you give me an update on that?
Yeah, let me get your info. So that would be something that the official office does, like the district office. I don't get to be a part of any of that stuff because I'm on the campaign side. So for campaign finance reasons, I can't even print out a flyer at their office. So they're their own thing. But I know that's a service that they offer. And so if you give me your info, I know who to forward it to get back to you.
San Diego State University has an office, and they are so fast and so wonderful. There was.
Miriam will give you more information in about a minute. Let's bring up East County activist Bonnie Price.
Hello, co-members. I've been a member since way back when, 2004, when Jennifer Spencer and I were out campaigning to get signatures, to get Al Gore to run again. Of course we didn't succeed, or we wouldn't have the mess we have on. And anyway, I'm here tonight in behalf of Stephen Houlihan, Houlihan is our man. He is running for Congress in the 48th district. He is having a victory party and a party, park cleanup in West Hills Park in Santee on June 2nd. You're all invited. Come, we're having a picnic, we're having the Resistors Band, and it will be a good democratic event. And I hope you can make it. And if you have extra cash, Stephen Houlihan is our man. He could use it. Go to his website. Thank you.
And don't forget, he's running against Tyson.
He's running against Tyson.
Next up, Miriam Rafferty, who did not get arrested yesterday at the Board of Supervisors protest and meeting. We're happy to report, but let's see how our jailbird is doing now.
I'm actually Miriam Plotkin. I know Miriam Raftery.
I'm sorry.
Very well. We're very similar. But I'm here to talk about and give you advance warning and to get a very expensive ticket for the middle of June. The middle of June, the Sunday, 5 p.m., June 16th, for a grand total of $10.
Oh.
It's this absolutely incredible rock and roll political music group. They gave us a preview last Friday, and I've got a couple of songs. If you were here earlier, you heard one of the songs like Trumpty Dumpty, and they're with us. Anyway, it's at in Hillcrest at the Universal, what they call UU Church of San Diego. Again, Sunday, 5 p.m., June 16th. They've got room for about 400, and tickets are, if you have trouble with tickets, let me know. And it's 6 of the most incredible voices, incredible power, incredible, they're with us, they're our people. In fact, that's one of their songs called We Are the People.
Thank you, Miriam Plotkin. You know, I've been mixing up Miriam Rafferty and Miriam Plotkin for decades, almost as long as I've been walking precincts with Michelle Krug. So I can't even blame being old and absent-minded. It's a mistake I've been making for decades. Miriam Rafferty is the editor of the East County Magazine. Miriam Plotkin is a longtime Democratic activist, and thank you for all you do. We're going to bring up our board member, Trinity, to talk about Project 2025 while our other board member, Brenda, sets up our Zoom and resumes control of the meeting. But before Trinity gets up here, I couldn't believe Howard Stern is still on the air. He interviewed President Joe Biden, and I haven't been able to find a copy of the entire interview because I'm not on satellite radio or anything, but I have been able to listen to a couple of the snippets where he got President Biden to talk about losing his first wife and daughter in a tragic car accident when he first entered the Senate when he was in his 30s, and talk about suicidal thoughts and how to deal with that and how to deal with that loss, and the burn pits that he thinks his son got cancer from and died from. I was astonished at the depth and the caring of that interview and the humanity. I think more Trump voters are going to flip to Biden after they hear that interview, because those are the guys that listen to Stern, I guess. I don't know. But I urge you to take a look, take a listen, if you can find it anywhere. And the summary that Stern gave Biden at the end was one of the most positive, ringing endorsements of the Biden record, the Biden personality, and why we need him to be reelected. I was shocked. So I just had to share that with you. And now, Trinity, Project 2025.
Can we find that?
What's that?
How do we find that?
I don't know. I just Googled it, you know, and I got little yeah.
YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Well, thank you, audience. It's always a trick going in front of this audience because everybody in the audience is always smarter than all the speakers. It's just nonstop. Yeah.
Could you repeat the link or the Google YouTube?
You just Google Howard Stern and Joe Biden and add in YouTube, or just go to the YouTube site. Is that what worked for you? Our members are pretty freaking smart. Okay, now we're going to bring up the person with the coolest jacket in the room. Talk about Project 2025. Trinity, the floor is yours.
Sorry.
Are you ready?
We're ready.
Oh,
And Dr.
okay.
Keela Weber's here.
Okay, we are now going back to our regularly scheduled program. Please refer to your agenda. We're starting from the top, and we will be zooming in with one of the best public officials to ever take office anywhere, Dr. Akilah Weber, our assembly person, who hopefully will soon be our Senate representative, and we'll turn it back over to Ms. Miller.
Okay. Hello. Oh. I can hear you. Can you guys hear her? No?
Is there a microphone that we can take and up to your computer?
Here, hold on.
Yeah, we're gonna start with that.
Turning it up, volume. Let me see if I can get the computer up.
We're gonna bring a microphone
Oh, well, we're bringing the microphone. Problem solved.
hopefully there's not feedback.
Yeah.
There will probably be some feedback.
Okay, all right, go ahead and try to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me make sure my volume is up here. Which one's the volume? Yeah, the volume is all the way up. Okay, let me put it near the speaker here on the laptop. Okay, go ahead and try again.
Can you hear me?
Some can, some can't.
Okay.
So why don't you come a little closer?
What's the best way for us to do this?
Huh?
Maybe what we can do instead of me talking about anything, is I can answer any questions. So if anyone in the audience has a question, Brenda, they can tell you. You can.
I'll have them come up with the mic.
I'll figure out how to do it.
And we have a technical person here. That's what I can't find.
Okay, well, maybe get started. I'll mess around with it. This is working.
Yeah.
It was working the best over here, so we'll just leave it.
Okay. Okay, does someone have a pressing question? You'd like to step up to the mic and ask Dr. Akilah Weber? I'm going to open up my laptop so it faces the audience.
Okay.
Well, come on up, I'll bring someone.
So where should I speak? Into that?
Yeah, you can pick it up.
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Weber. My name's Maris Ryan, and I live here in La Mesa. I do a lot of phone banking for candidates all over the United States. But the ones in California, the questions that we're getting back on the phone bank is about Newsom. And so I'm hoping that you can give us some good responses. Two things in particular. One is that he takes campaign endorsements from fossil fuel companies. That's what I've heard, and I haven't confirmed it on my own. And the other is that his tax plans are ruining our economy. And so I would appreciate just some phrases, some info, or even some references that you can send me to so I can do it on my own and give some solid answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So, I'm not aware of any funds that he takes, so I'm not on his campaign side to say what organizations he takes money from and what he doesn't. That is publicly available information though, for any candidate or for anyone who's elected, who they happen to take money from. we have not raised any taxes for our residents of California. So that would be false information. And I would probably ask those individuals where they're getting that information from, because it is not true. Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
So if you want to go ahead and talk about some of the issues we were looking for.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, if you wanted to go ahead and just address some of the current things that you're working on.
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, well, first of all, let me just say good evening, Mesa-Foothills. It's so good to see you all, even if it is virtually. I want to thank you so much for inviting me tonight. I wish that I could be there in person, but we are in session right now, so I am still in Sacramento. A couple of things that I did want to point out, as I mentioned when I was addressing the first question, this is a very, very busy time of legislative cycle. Not only are we dealing with our bills, but we're dealing with our budget. And unfortunately this year, we are in a significant budget crisis, a budget deficit, which is not something that we've seen for the last couple of years. We have been having significant conversations of this entire legislative cycle, and actually started at the end of last legislative cycle. I am chair of the health budget on the assembly side, so not only do I sit on the overall budget committee, I also have hearings every week on what's going on in our healthcare space and our health budget. And one of the things that we are definitely focused on is ensuring that this time around, we are not cutting those critical services that people need to just survive, especially not initially. And so in January, my office, we held a webinar on the budget process itself. We had our chief staff person on the assembly side giving that presentation and answering questions about the budget in general. You can always go to my website because we have that video uploaded there, and I think that's a really good kind of walkthrough about the budget and how we kind of got to where we are.
Okay.
We have been working diligently on how we are going to close this deficit this year. We passed some early action items, and most of those things that we decided to cut were programs that had not started, so money that had not gone out of the door yet. So it wouldn't be felt nothing too significant for the constituents that we serve, because those programs had either not had not gone out. We also freeze all spending, and the reason why we did that was so that when we know how bad things are, we have a wider range of things to look at and not just some of the more critical things. But I do want to let everyone know that that one-time freeze is for anything greater than $1 million. So some of you may be aware that, you know, every year I've brought money back to the districts, brought money back to La Mesa from Sacramento. This last year, we secured some money for La Mesa to renovate Lemon Avenue parking lot and install some electric vehicle stations, and the Public Works Yard solar panel project. Both of those will be able to move forward because they're both under $1 million, and so the freeze that we have at the state will not impact the money that I secured last year for La Mesa. With that being said, it is unfortunately highly unlikely that this year we will be able to provide any funding to the district for any new projects, just because of the way things are looking. Revenue from the state is not looking as good as the governor thought it would in January. I was actually on a call with him today, and he alluded to this. And so we'll know a lot more after May, because he has to come out with the May revise as far as what the revenues look, because most of California, not us, but most of California, turned in their taxes on April 15th, and so we have a better sense of what the revenues are. And we'll continue to have those, those budget conversations through June when we have to actually vote on the final budget for this year. But it is unfortunately highly unlikely that we will be able to fund any district requests this year. But I do recommend that you continue to go to my website, reach out to my district staff if you have any questions, concerns about anything that you're hearing, just so that we can make sure that you are always up to date and have the correct information. I have, like I said, we got the budget side, but we also have the legislative side. I have over 20 bills that I have introduced for this year that's moving through the legislative process. All of my bills are on my website, those that I have authored, and then there are others that I'm co-authoring. And so I can highlight just a couple of them. AB 1895 deals with maternity ward closures. This is something that we in San Diego County have just recently felt, but unfortunately it has been an issue up and down the state for a little while now. And that is the issue with labor and delivery units closing. Many of you heard about the labor and delivery unit closing in Chula Vista, with Scripps Chula Vista, leaving one labor and delivery unit for all of Chula Vista and all of the residents down there. Unfortunately, that is not an anomaly. We have had a significant number, over 40 labor and delivery units closed up and down the state since 2012, and 27 of those closing within the last 3 years. And this is an issue of access. There are 12 counties, rural counties here in California that have no labor and delivery at all. Many of the residents have to drive 2 hours or more to the closest labor and delivery unit. We know that this is a significant problem when we talk about having access to just basic health care, because reproductive health care, having a place to go and safely deliver your child with people who are trained and in a facility that is equipped to handle the most normal deliveries and those that end up being emergent is really essential basic medical health care. And so this bill deals with that, deals with reporting to the state so that we can be notified early. Because right now, the requirement is just 90 days. It's very difficult for the state to intervene with money or extra workers in that short a period of time. So now they would need to notify us about a year in advance if they think they're at risk for closing, so we can start to look at things from a state level and see where we can help out, and also the impact that it would have on the surrounding community. Another bill, AB 2671, deals with lead in daycare drinking waters. We all know the significant medical impacts of lead, and with us ingesting it or being around it, the long-term medical and also mental impacts that it can have. Unfortunately, a few years ago, there was studies done of the lead in our drinking water for our daycares and childcare facilities, and they found that the vast majority were over the limit that CDC would be somewhat comfortable with. So AB 2671 would require home daycares to put a filter in so that our children would not be exposed to lead when they are at their home daycare facility. AB 3059 is actually a bill that I'm doing with UCSD. It deals with human milk, donor human milk, ensuring that all insurance companies, not just Medi-Cal, but also commercial insurance, will cover for donor milk for our premature babies if their mothers are unable to provide the milk at that time. We know that having donor milk decreases the chances of these little premature babies from getting some significant illnesses while they're in the NICU. Another bill, AB 3139, deals with domestic violence and privacy. In your car, just like in a lot of things, your phone and a whole bunch of other stuff, you can be tracked, right? And so what this bill basically states is that if you are a victim of domestic violence, the person who has assaulted you should not be able to continue to track you via your car. And so this would allow for you to turn that feature off so that is not a way in which they can continue to watch and monitor you and harass you. And then another bill, AB 2180, deals with the cost of some of our medications, especially for patients who have very chronic illnesses and are on chronic medications. Those costs can build up very quickly. Many times they are eligible for a program with a copay accumulator program where they can receive funds either from different organizations or friends or whatever to help them pay for the cost of their medication. Unfortunately, what's happening right now is that insurance companies are just taking that money and requiring people to pay down their full deductible before they allow for them to reach into this other pot of money to help to pay for their medications. And so many people are unfortunately going without their medications because they just don't have the funds to pay down their deductible so that they can then get their medication. But I will stop there with my bills because, like I said, I've got over 20 this year. Also, just want to kind of flag some upcoming events that we're having. On May 31st, we are having a elder abuse prevention and senior scam stopper event. Again, all of these are on my website. June 14th, we are having the annual perfect attendance ceremony that was started by my predecessor, where for our kids in our district, in the different schools, if they have perfect attendance, they are honored at SeaWorld, and then they and a parent have a free day at SeaWorld after our ceremony. We have our annual backpack giveaway, which we had last year in La Mesa, which was so much fun. That will be on July 20th. We have we did the turkey giveaway in La Mesa. That's what we did. That was fun. But we have that again on November 16th. And then finally, we will have our community recognition celebration this year in October, on October 19th. And so if any of you follow or look at my webpage or get our emails, you'll see like every month we're asking you, send in someone for this award, or if it's woman of the year, give us some suggestions on who should be getting these different awards. Well, everyone who gets an award throughout the year is honored at the end of the year at our community recognition celebration. And so this year it's gonna be a little earlier on October 19th. So I'm gonna stop and see if anyone has any questions.
Get up there.
Hi, I have two major issues in mind. I'm Marge Carlson from El Cajon, and for 20 years I've been trying to get the hospital reinstated in El Cajon because in La Mesa, our Grossmont Hospital is really impacted, as many of you know. 20 years ago, we had a wonderful hospital, full-service hospital, called El Cajon Valley Hospital. And it served over 500,000 people in the backcountry too. And shortly after that, we had our other full-service hospital said it had to be destroyed because of certain environmental issues, and that was a Kaiser Hospital. In the 20 years we've never had that hospital replaced. It's a major concern for many of our residents because we have a lot of homeless people. They need to go to clinics. We need so much health care in East County and La Mesa and all around here. So I know that's a lot more than your $100,000 or whatever you're allotted, but working together with the state maybe even the Indian tribe nations and the military, we could, again, get a hospital established in East County. We really need one. The second issue of concern is much smaller, and that's AT&T has sent me a letter. Anybody who lives in 92021 code will be discontinued having service for their landline. And that affects an awful lot of us. And right now that issue is coming before the state Utilities Commission. And I hope you'll be able to look into that and address that, because a lot of our members, our residents, need that landline still. Not everybody has a cell phone. Thank you.
Yes, can you hold on for just a minute? Don't give up the mic yet. Because the first question was really choppy. I heard a little better for the second one about the issue of the landline. I completely agree with you that when that issue came up, I was very much against it. And I may be kind of old school, but I do believe that people still should have access to a landline, because you never know what will happen to your cell phones, even if you have them. And so I completely agree with what you are saying. I am against removal of the landline. The Public Utilities Commission is a very interesting commission, the way in which it was set up, because they essentially just do what they want to do. They do not have to have legislative authority, approval. It has been a huge issue that we need to fix somehow. But I have definitely voiced that I am against removing the ability for people to have landlines. Now, with the first one, you were stating that there needs to be a specific type of hospital set up.
Exactly. We had 2 full-service hospitals in El Cajon at one time, 20 years ago. And ever since then, we've had a lack of adequate health services. Poor Grossmont Hospital does a good job, but they're so impacted. I've heard horror stories about how you have to wait in the emergency just to be seen. But anyway, so I think you said you're on the Health Services Committee or something like that. You know, so, and addressing some of those problems, I think would be really interesting to know. You know, one of the things we have, the homeless, half of those people need health care. You know, I don't know what you're gonna do about that. I'd like to hear what's going on up in the assembly about dealing with homelessness. I'm sure we have it other places than San Diego. So, so if we had more health clinics, that would maybe help. And definitely if we need another hospital out in East County. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I think I got the gist of that. You are absolutely correct. We have an issue with access as far as healthcare up and down the state. And that is one of the issues that I have been discussing since I got up here. It's nice for people to have healthcare insurance. We like to talk about the fact that we have expanded it and the vast majority of Californians have health insurance. But I always remind people that healthcare insurance without access to a hospital or a clinic really doesn't do much, right? That does not help what we're ultimately trying to get at. You know, a lot of this has to do with reimbursement rates, as far as, you know, when hospitals are able to reimburse, providers are able to reimburse. Our rates are extremely low here in California. I'm actually, so I'm on the health committee, but I'm chair of the health budget, and we actually have a hearing on reimbursement rates in, on Monday. But for many people, unfortunately, especially hospitals, medicine has become a business, and they look to see how they can make money and where they can make money. And that has become very, very problematic in a variety of ways, one of which has to do with where they establish themselves or allow their doors to remain open. You know, I have been championing for hospitals and expansion of clinics outside of the norm, You know, I used to work at UCSD and they were, we've got 3 hospitals right on top of each other in La Jolla. Yet we can't get those hospitals to go into other areas. So it is something that not only myself, but a lot of my colleagues talk about, as we are not only seeing closure of labor and delivery units, but we're seeing hospitals close. We've had to act urgently with like hospital distress loan creation to keep some of those doors open. This unfortunately is not an issue that is specific to San Diego or East County. We are seeing this problem up and down the state. And so we are talking about it. We are doing our best to address it. It does get a little bit more complicated in this season because of our budgetary constraints. But it is something that I've been talking a lot about, especially since COVID, understanding that access, especially to preventative care, is essential for people to remain healthy, especially when we're faced with something like a global pandemic.
I have a question. I have a question about a major concern. We've closed Palomar Medical Center, the GPU, geriatric psych unit, and now we're closing the behavioral health clinic. Are you aware of that? Because I'm wondering if that's a problem throughout the state, that mental health units are being closed.
I am so sorry, I could not understand anything. I'm not sure if anyone else on the Zoom can understand
It's
from the microphone.
our outgoing internet's not being very happy.
Oh, we're having internet problems.
Yeah, so.
Oh, okay.
Super slow.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, what was the question?
The question was, the Palomar PNC is closing. They've closed the geriatric unit, and now they're closing the behavioral health unit. And is that a trend that's happening throughout the state?
The mental health unit?
Mental health unit.
So unfortunately, we are, as I stated, we are seeing this closure of units or complete hospitals up and down the state. And this is, like I said, something that we are addressing in the legislature. We're having lots of conversations about it. Because it's not just impacting rural areas, it's not just impacting inner cities, it's really impacting, every place up and down the state. And so that's one of the reasons why we're having conversations about reimbursement rates. That's one of the reasons why the MCO tax was passed, so that we could put more money into our Medi-Cal system for our providers and our hospitals. It's one of the reasons for my maternity ward bill. We did the hospital distress loan program, which was a quick, $300 million that we, put out to hospitals to try to keep their doors open. I think 15 or 17 hospitals actually applied and got those funds. But this this is an issue, and it's as a result of, you know, years and years and years and years of, I don't want to say neglect, but just not really focusing on issues within the healthcare space that people should have been focusing on to keep these units, these hospitals open. You know, I strongly recommend that you can, you know, you keep reaching out to my district office, and they can continue to give you updates as to what we're doing. But we're doing a lot in terms of legislation, and as much as we can on the budget side to fix this issue. But it is a huge problem in California. And, you know, we see what we see in San Diego and La Mesa and in our county, but this is truly happening up and down the state. And I think that is it for tonight. I really appreciate you guys letting me come and speak with you. I look forward to being back where I can actually come and see and talk with some of you about these issues in person. But my district office is always available. We've actually moved our district office to La Mesa. So, you know, if you have any issues, any concerns, please feel free to reach out. We are here to serve you all. And so if there's anything that you need, we are here. Thank you.
Doctor, ask her if she can take one more question. Can you take one more question, Michelle?
Well, I think it's that we have other people that need to go before
Yeah,
the end
yeah,
of the night.
that's true.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
it's fine.
Can you hear us?
No, she probably can't.
Oh,
It's fine.
okay. So she just. Okay, so we're going to introduce R.L. Miller.
Brenda, since the internet is bad, should I just go ahead and start talking? Should I just go ahead and start introducing myself?
Go ahead and do that. I was just getting
You're
ready.
muted.
Oh, no wonder you can't hear me.
Yep, she said, go ahead and do that. And I think it's actually a little bit better now, because I can hear myself on this one and it's not all pixely. So you can hear us okay, right?
Yes, no, and that is the best audio I've heard all night.
Okay, so let's keep that going then.
Awesome, thank you. So thank you very much for inviting me. My name is R.L. Miller, and one of your club members asked me to speak after hearing me at a regional meeting. I am one of your DNC members, and I run an outside group by the name of Climate Hawks Vote. And for the better part of a year, I spent all my time advocating for something called the Inflation Reduction Act. And so I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about what's in it and what it means for Joe Biden's reelection, for American manufacturing, for your community, and for you. Most of the time when Democrats talk about this bill, they simply say, and we passed the largest climate bill since ever, and everybody claps and moves on. But nobody knows what's in the bill. This is not just you. This is nationwide polling that consistently shows that maybe a third of people are confident that they know what's in the bill. And just in case you'd forgotten, it was engraved in my mind, this is what started off as Build Back Better and was originally going to be $6 trillion, and it got whittled down to $1.2 trillion, and it got split in half. The first part was first called the Bipartisan Infrastructure Framework and ultimately passed called the Infrastructure Jobs and Investment Act, IIJA. The second part is the part that took a year, and it was known as Build Back Better for most of the time until suddenly at the very end, Joe Manchin, the main holdup that we had, changed the name to the Inflation Reduction Act. And that is the name of the bill that we are now, the name of the law that we are now using. And just to use some context, if you were to ask a Democrat, what Barack Obama has done for the country in 2012, in the height of his re-election campaign. First words out of every Democrat's mouth would be Obamacare, Affordable Care Act. You know, and it was a great bill. I'm on Obamacare myself. If you were to ask most Democrats, what is Joe Biden's signature piece of legislation, either they don't know or they say the Inflation Reduction Act, but then they can't tell you anything about what's in it. And I'm here on a mission to change that. Like I say, I fought for that bill for a year. Everything from call your, you know, I asked people on my list to call your senator right here, sign a petition, rage against the mansion. I actually put out a meme, rage against the mansion. It is the single most important piece of legislation that Biden has passed, and the reason is, this is the part where I'm going to talk about climate without talking about climate. I'm going to talk instead about American manufacturing. The United States has never had an industrial policy. And by industrial policy, I mean the general idea that a nation gets behind a certain segment of their industry and they push that hard. They give that industry tax breaks. If there is a competing nation wanting to import the same goods, they raise sky-high tariffs. They try to negotiate most favored nation status for exporting their favorite industry. Think of Japan and the car industry in the 1980s for the clearest recent example of that. Unfortunately, for the last 40 years, our unwritten, informal industrial policy has been to come up with a great idea and turn that idea into a thing and manufacture the thing overseas, ship the jobs to make the thing overseas, import the thing back to the United States, and then wander down Main Street, Ohio, and wonder, what the hell happened to this country? We used to make things in this country. And the Inflation Reduction Act, along with the bipartisan infrastructure bill and a third bill called Chips and Science, is an effort to claw manufacturing jobs back to the United States. And if it works, this is the part where people sometimes roll their eyes, it's okay, but Joe Biden may end up as the most transformational president in the United States since FDR. And it's gonna take us some time. It took us 40 years to lose those jobs. It's gonna take us, we're not gonna bring them back all overnight. But all around the country, factories are being built with massive credits from the Inflation Reduction Act to make things again in America. What kind of things? This is where I get to talk about climate. Because the things that are being made are, the tax credits for the things that are being made are clean energy. So the tax credits are going to build factories in mostly red states, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Arizona, Texas, to build the things that we will need to navigate our way through the climate crisis. So electric cars, parts for electric cars, solar panels. It's very hard to buy a solar panel that is made in the United States, and we're trying to fix that. Wind turbines, you get the idea. And I hope I don't need to emphasize to you guys that a manufacturing job is a good job. According to the Inflation Reduction Act, you don't get tax credits unless you pay people a living wage. And we can, I hope, these will be good jobs where one wage earner can raise a family instead of both wage earners going to work and both of them also doing DoorDash and Uber on the side, and working nights and weekends and doing all sorts of crazy stuff just to be able to pay the bills. So these jobs are coming. We're just hoping that they get here fast enough. most of what people know about the Inflation Reduction Act are the tax credits for individuals. But I want to take a break for a second and instead talk about the tax breaks for communities. You know, you put a solar panel on your roof, you know you're going to get a 30% tax break, right? But you volunteer at a church. Your synagogue wants to put a solar panel on its roofs, and your mosque does not get a tax break because your mosque is already tax exempt. So what they did in the Inflation Reduction Act, and this is the part I really hope you take home, is come up with something called direct pay. And it works like a tax credit, except that it is free money. I hope I have your attention, Democrats. Free money. The general idea is that if you are a tax-exempt organization, if you are a church, synagogue, or mosque, if you are a city, if you are a library or a library board, if you are a county, if you are a mosquito control board, if you are a Native American tribe, and you want to spend money on a clean energy project, the IRS will reimburse your community between 30 and 70% of the money that you spend.
Wow.
So, what is a clean energy project that qualifies under the Inflation Reduction Act? I can tell you that the person who wrote this into the bill used to be the Energy and Environment staffer for Bernie Sanders. She's now at the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and she is telling people to be creative. So if you want to put a school garden in at your school, you should look into the IRS, into direct pay. When I stop talking, I'm going to drop a few links into chat because I can't talk and type at the same time. I will say that the IRS is running the reimbursements, and because the IRS is running it, it's all fairly bureaucratic and convoluted, and you're not going to get your money immediately. But every time I talk to a room full of Democrats and I ask people who volunteers at the domestic violence shelter or the animal shelter or who's on a local school board, half the room raises their hands because Democrats run on volunteer power. And so I want you to please get the word out to your communities, to your small community foundations, to your broke school boards, to your libraries that want to turn into cooling centers, that need better microgrids. You get the idea. Just get the word out to them. Direct pay, AKA free money. I'm going to quickly touch, and I'm trying to not run over time. I'm worried about running over time. I'm going to quickly touch on the tax credits for individuals. Most of the questions that I get are all regarding the tax credits for cars. But there's a website, it's cleanenergy.gov, and if you mouse over that, you will see that you don't just get a tax credit for installing the solar panels or for buying a new or a used electric vehicle. Once you get the electric vehicle, you now need to upgrade your electric box. Well, there's a tax credit in there for you there. And now that you have solar panels, you now want to maybe look into something called a heat pump. And a heat pump is also an air conditioning unit that is incredibly energy efficient. There's tax credits and rebates for that too. I will say that if you're an accountant, you can be cringing right now because I do tend to confuse tax credits with tax rebates, but there's both, and you do need to check the websites to find out exactly which ones apply to you. I will give Joe Manchin credit for fighting for one thing. All of these tax breaks and rebates go to moderate income and lower income people. If you are earning more than $250,000 a year, no, you don't get a tax break to buy a Tesla. It doesn't work that way. And I specifically want to highlight something that one of our Los Angeles area Congress people threw into the bill, which is a tax credit for used electric vehicles. If you buy a used electric vehicle for under $25,000, you get a tax credit of $4,000. So if you're buying, you know, because I get a lot of questions from people who say, I'm never gonna afford a brand new Tesla. I don't have $50,000 lying around. Well, if you can get a used Tesla or a used Bolt or a used Volt, for $15,000, you're now looking at $11,000, and that's actually not so bad, yeah? The only catch is that if you think of the Inflation Reduction Act as a bunch of money being given to you by your friendly uncle, his name is Sam, get it, Uncle Sam. Your friendly Uncle Sam wants to help you with all of your home improvements. You're not going to be doing everything all at once this year, but he is going to be giving you breaks. He's going to be helping you out with your home improvement project. The next time your water heater conks out on you, the next time you're sick and tired of paying those sky-high electric bills for running your air conditioner in the summer, so you go and you upgrade, he's going to give you money to help you out. But the Bank of Uncle Sam is only going to be open through 2032 because we passed the Inflation Reduction Act through what's called reconciliation, which meant that we only needed 51 votes. Kamala, Vice President Harris broke the tie, and the bill is only operative for 10 years. So the clock is ticking. You've got 8 more years. Use it wisely, and that goes for everything that I've mentioned between tax credits for factories, or tax credits and rebates for homes, or free money, aka direct pay for community money. I'm going to drop one link into chat that I hope that you all look at on your phones. And you take this around when you are talking to your friends and neighbors and relatives who want to know what's Joe Biden and all of this federal money doing in my community. And that website is invest.gov. And if you scroll down past the happy picture, and you see a map of the United States, and on that map of the United States, there's first a tab that reads private investments that has a bunch of dots. Click on the second tab that reads public investments, and you will see a sea of green and blue dots. Zoom in to your community. I was looking at this for San Diego just before giving this talk, and I saw $150,000 going to a native tribe, $250,000 going to the airports. Zoom in and see how many different projects are being funded in your community. Again, that's invest.gov. This is an official White House site. And the other website is cleanenergy.gov, which has like a little cartoon picture of a house, and that's the one that you can just mouse over and see what's available for you. And I'm finally going to drop a link into chat regarding the direct pay, which is, the White House website on it isn't very good. So I'm instead directing people to the Congressional Progressive Caucus Center. As I said, my friend Katie Thomas, who actually has moved to San Diego from DC, and I've done my best to try to introduce her to some San Diego people. She's evangelical about the direct pay, and she's the one who's compiling all of the technical information on it. And I'm going to catch my breath for a second and see if there's any questions.
I do.
And apologies if I'm running over.
Tell her she's fine. Tell her she's got about 5 more minutes.
Okay, use this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. We've got about 5 more minutes.
Great, thanks.
I receive a lot of emails and communications to take national surveys, mainly from the Democratic Party. And 90% of them I try to take, and at the end it says donate money, or what you are spending your time and energy filling out surveys doesn't count. please, please, please make a suggestion to these wonderful organizations that not at this time should be one of the options.
Do that, and my organization, Climate Hawks Vote, does that where we ask people to donate after clicking for a survey, because we are grassroots funded. We are not funded by any foundation or any rich billionaires, but if you know any rich billionaires, I don't know why. Yeah, I hear you, and I think it's important, and yes, there are too many fundraising emails out there. And yes, it's disheartening, and we're trying to tell the people who write the emails to please stop with the Democrats are doomed unless you give us $3 kind of stuff, because it's just demoralizing.
Anyone else?
I think we're good, right?
Any other questions?
We're looking, oh, there's someone coming up.
Right.
Thank you for being here. I'm glad that last question came up. I get very frustrated. I get lots of Democratic emails. And most of the time, you have to donate money after you answer the survey. And it's just maddening. I couldn't possibly donate every single time I get one of those questionnaires. So I guess I'm really just seconding what was just said.
You don't have to donate for your survey responses to be counted.
Is that right?
No.
Anybody who tells you otherwise is not ethical, and you should unsubscribe to that list, from that list. But
You don't.
please do answer surveys in that from Democrats. Honestly, both Democrats and Republicans use this as a little bit of list building. I started smart mouthing back to some of the Republicans, and now suddenly I'm seeing 5 million Republican ads on Facebook, and it's all take our survey, is Biden corrupt or is Biden the most corrupt president ever? Those are your only two choices, and I just go, give me a break. Yeah, you misspelled Donald J. Trump. By the way, if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I did want to say something. The person who reached out to me originally asked me to address Project 2025. And it is the scariest thing I've ever seen. If you need yet more motivation, and some people respond better to hope, and other people respond better to fear. But if you need more fear-based motivation to go out and knock every door, make every phone call, text every Arizona undecided voter. Project 2025 is a blueprint to undo everything that is good. And in clean energy and climate, which is my specialty, they want to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. They want to repeal most of Biden's executive orders, and they want to pull us out of the Paris Agreement again. And they want to attack basic climate science. They want to get rid of career bureaucrats who are qualified and neutral and replace them with Trump loyalists. And it's these career scientists who write the reports about what climate change is doing to our country. And they want to replace them with corrupt Trump loyalists who will deny that climate change is a thing until the sea comes and carries them away. It's disgusting, it's scary. They basically want to turn the EPA or the Energy Department into a cheerleader for the fossil fuel industry. Everything that is bad They want to increase everything that is good. They want to stop completely. So, as I said before, if you need any further motivation to knock every door, contact, take the bus trip to Arizona, call a few voters in Nevada, talk to your friends in Louisiana that you haven't talked to in 6 years since you got mad at them over some dinner table. You get the idea. Please do anything and everything you can for this election. It is the most important election of our lifetime, so I know you hear that every time, but this time it really feels like democracy itself is on the line.
One more question? Okay.
I see people moving around. I'm just not sure if there's any questions.
I think we got one more.
Great, thanks.
Hi Ariel, it's Andrea Beth Dansky. You're talking to my club. Thank you for your endorsement. Thank you for your endorsement 2 years ago. I want to ask if you would send all of these wonderful links to our club president so they can be shared with us in email.
Yes, who do I send it to?
Who does she send?
She can send it to me.
What's your email address?
She has it.
Okay. She says you have the email address to Rosamond.
Okay, I'll send that along. I've put the links in the chat, but I'm not sure that anybody else is actually looking at the chat anymore. I know that Assemblymember Weber was. By the way, just like some of the promotional-ish stuff, I am one of the founders of the No Fossil Fuel Money Pledge, and Gavin Newsom signed that pledge in front of me, with me, so I know darn well he signed it. I run an outside group by the name of Climate Hawks Vote. We try to build political power for the climate movement, which means in plain English that we try to elect people who will be fierce on climate. And if you sign up for my emails, I can guarantee that I will ask you to take action about 4 times a week, and I will ask you to fundraise once or twice a month. And I will not think any less of you if you don't donate. It's okay. And I'm also a member of the DNC, and if you're a member of the executive board, I'd appreciate your vote at the coming e-board. And I am a grad of UC San Diego, and I love going back down to San Diego, so thanks.
Thank you.
All right, I do have to call it a night.
And I'm gonna put contact info for myself in the chat.
Thank you, Ariel. We appreciate you. He's been very good.
This is one of the many shelter dogs in this country who is safe from crazy governors in South Dakota. Yes, so he's looking at me like he needs to have his dinner, and I am going to probably put myself on mute and drop off this call while you guys do the rest of your club business.
Thank you very much for coming. Okay. It's time to, thank you, you're the best. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Trinity.
Brenda, she likes to call me and I take on her every single time. Okay, so I'm gonna try not to talk at you too much. We just talked at for quite a while, but I do have some discussion questions regarding Project 2025. Has anyone been reading it at all? Okay, quite a few people. Has anyone read this section on the environment yet? Okay, cool.
She's over now.
You did. I looked to see there's
She's still there,
okay,
so
cool.
I'm just gonna let
You
it
never
stay
know when you
there,
like give people
because she
more
can
interaction. We come back and do it, so I love to see it.
No one else is in there.
So I
She
just,
can't, that mic
on
not
top
hooked up to it, so it's
of what
not.
we just heard
this is
about,
nothing.
I
So it's okay,
took
she can still hear?
No, because the mic's not
5
hooked up to the
things,
computers.
you know,
Is it?
like she
So
said,
no,
the
she can
character
hear
was trying
it,
to
so
influence
we might as well just
the
end it.
like cut up the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. And they want to do that by focusing on what they consider like quote unquote reducing what they, perceive as unnecessary or burdensome regulations. So like she said, giving all the money to the fossil fuel people. So here's some of the strategies that they have proposed or supported across the entirety of the Environmental Protection Agency. So number one is proposing to eliminate and reduce funding for specific EPA programs or initiatives that they deem inefficient, duplicative, or outside the agency's core mission. So that includes, for example, the transition, transitioning the Office of Chemical Safety and Pollution Prevention's Safer Choice program. They want to move that all completely to the private sector. That's just an example. Number two, they want to do some regulatory rollbacks. So advocating for rolling back certain environmental regulations that they view as costly and unnecessary and would potentially reduce the need for extensive enforcement and compliance and activities. So just for example, they want to stop the use of the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is what increases standards on airplanes and airplane emissions. Number three, they want to put all of the work onto the states. So they want to support policies that shift more responsibility and funding to environmental protections at state and local governments, and argues that these entities are better positioned to address their local environmental concerns efficiently. So they want to do it on a case-by-case basis in the states rather than looking at climate issues as a whole issue across the nation. And they want to quote unquote streamline operations, encouraging efforts to streamline EPA operations, improve what they consider administrative efficiency, and reduce overhead costs.
We don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, I apologize. Project 2025. So yeah, the Project 2025 is it's like a almost 1,000-page document written by a collective group of conservatives called the Heritage Foundation. And basically what Project 2025 aims at doing is once they put a conservative in office, so once they put Donald Trump in office, this is their 180-day playbook. The second they get into office, here's where we're going to hit the ground running. This was done because Trump wasn't effective enough in the way that they wanted him to be. So instead, they said, okay, we're going to get together and we're going to make this foolproof plan. So basically what this is a complete uprooting and changing of the executive branch as we know it now. And one of the big things that's found across the entirety of Project 2025 is taking out, firing, getting rid of a lot of nonpartisan officials who are, dedicated to their field and know a lot about their field, and replacing them with more like conservative.
Don't they have to swear that the 2020
Project 2025
2020 was rigged before was stolen?
Oh, I don't know.
Have
you read that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That doesn't surprise me at all. But they already have like officials lined up who have said, yes, we're gonna abide by Project 2025. Once Trump gets in office, you're gonna fire all these people, and we're implanting all these people who we've already entrusted to complete the conservative work. And so essentially, if you read it from like front to back, a lot of it is just they're completely uprooting it and turning it into an authoritarian regime through the executive branch. So the part that I'm talking about currently is specifically on the Environmental Protection Agency. Lauren, you had something?
Yeah, Lauren Stars. Part of my work that I do for the San Diego Regional Chambers, I do all of our environmental work, and we work with the EPA, and so I just wanted to share, defunding the EPA, and it's not, it is twice or 3 times as scary as it sounds, because many things that happen at the federal level, California is already ahead of. So we're protected here from a lot of things. But all of our funding for Cal EPA, the California Environmental Protection Agency, and all of the other districts and organizations that we have in our state for environmental environmental impacts or climate change mitigation are funded through the federal EPA. That is why we are not fixing the Tijuana River Valley situation, for example. So it's not like if they repeal same-sex marriage at the federal level, well, we're, gonna vote this year to enshrine it in the California Constitution. It's not like that because the money doesn't exist outside of the federal government. So I just wanted to make sure that that was shared.
Thank you, that's definitely really helpful. Yeah, one of the things that they were saying they wanted to do was stop providing any grant money to any environmental advocacy groups, day one. They want to reduce the number of full-time employees, and then also, on day one, downsize by removing what they consider low hires and low-value programs. They want to also remove the greenhouse gas reporting program, saying that it impacts small businesses and small businesses only. Doesn't. It's a lie.
Small businesses don't even have to report their GHG emissions. If in San Diego, if they're smaller than 50,000 square feet, there is absolutely no benchmarking or reporting they're required to do.
Well, there you go. And you did mention Cal EPA earlier. Like you said, California has much, more well-rounded, climate legislation. One of the things that it says is that they don't want to allow other states to adopt California's waiver on global climate issues or greenhouse gas issues. So basically what they're saying is anything that California is doing regarding climate issues or greenhouse gases, other states aren't allowed to adopt the same thing. They're trying to enshrine that.
What about states' rights?
I know, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Exactly, that was my thought too. It's like, what happened to the states anyway?
They don't even care about the hypocrisy.
No.
The hypocrisy is
We
lined
passed that
up.
a long time ago.
Exactly, it's lined up right there. Okay, there's been some good discussion going. I kind of want to open it up to some discussion because, it's helpful. So, what are some of the ways in which these proposed ideas could impact us nationally and locally should a conservative be elected in office? So thinking about what might happen in La Mesa, go ahead.
I just want to say, what they want to do is eliminate the total civil service system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nothing can be done by the federal government. And that was put in place by the Pendleton Act to get rid of appointments by, appointing your friends, nepotism.
Yeah,
And
nepotism.
that will destroy anything.
Go for it.
Yeah, I was a federal civil service and got educated at like a executive training part of the government on how we are we're public servants.
Mm-hmm.
And for the Navy, I always felt like we were more dedicated to helping with whatever research project we had rather than sending it out to industry, because their first allegiance was to their stockholders, and our allegiance was, in this case, to the military. And, I know I'm just repeating stuff, but I get tired when I hear people say, I've heard people say on the other side that civil service, they're lazy, blah, 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 and we were not.
No, you guys work overtime, so to speak. So as far as what we kind of discussed, just to kind of circle back to the topic, how could any of these proposed ideas impact us nationally and locally? So thinking about, for example, what would the floods that happened a few months ago would have looked like, and our climate response, what would have that looked like? Should we have, reduced the funding that the EPA gets?
It would have been shit.
No, go ahead.
It would have been horrible because they would have taken the funding to just address it. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Any other examples anyone has? Yeah.
I'm not putting on a Republican hat, but I do have a question about it, and hopefully you know the answer. that it was, I saw on the news a couple of times that the reason that they had not cleared out some of those storm drains was because they had to mitigate, if they took out a storm drain that had plant life, for instance, that they had to go and mitigate it somewhere else. And so there were regulations for environment that caused the flood or made the flood worse. Does anybody know about that? Is that true?
Oh, I have no idea. Lauren, do you have any idea?
Not an expert on this area. That being said, there are definitely some environmental regulations that do and can cause harm like that, so I can't speak specifically to that area.
But it shouldn't be an excuse, obviously.
But, right. It's certainly not an excuse. What happened was absolutely the fault of the local government. That was not just, state or federal. That was a local issue that should have been taken care of many years ago. That being said, sometimes when you remove plant life, especially if it's like native plants, you do have to find other places.
But they were growing in the water, in the.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, but if it's a native plant, for example, the California poppy, our state flower, if it's growing somewhere in your yard, technically, you're not allowed to remove it. But there's a lot of technicalities. That to me just sounds more like an excuse.
Yeah.
Because if they wanted to get it done, imagine how easy of a request that would be to waive it.
Good point.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's the difference between, some environmental regulations are annoying and some of them are not a good idea and they were implemented in a way that doesn't work. But there's a difference between some of them not being great and then the sort of general Reaganist idea of, what do you say, the scariest thing that anyone will ever hear is, hello, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
It's this idea that government bad, just as a blanket statement.
The
And
deep state.
sometimes it's annoying and it gets in the way of stuff, but that they want 2025 is all about dismantling an entire system of federal government. Yeah.
Exactly. And loyalists, it's all about loyalists. Either you got-
Basically, it's corporatizing the government.
Yeah.
Another example of this is the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA. That is overall a really good idea. You have to do environmental impact reviews when you're building. That being said, it's severely slowing down affordable housing.
Yeah.
There is almost, even in the most perfect ordinances or bills from the local level through the federal government, there's gonna be unintended consequences, and people use loopholes to their advantage. Doesn't make it a good excuse. But at least we have these things in California, because a lot of them start as a good idea, and it wouldn't be possible under Project 2025.
So if you were to explain Project 2025's plan on environmental protection in a few short sentences, how would you explain it? Just keep it short, sweet, and simple. Does anyone have a good example of how you would explain it to someone?
Orwellian. Orwellian. They want to undo everything that we attempted to make progress in the 60s.
No more clean air, no more clean water, no more clean environment.
Their plan for protecting the environment?
Yeah.
Their plan to protect the environment is just, fuck it.
Yeah.
Literally.
They just don't, don't do
They're
it.
repudiating science.
Yeah.
Exactly. Go ahead. Oh, I apologize. So my question was, if you were to explain Project 2025's plan on environmental protection in a few short sentences, how would you explain it? Because the part of the reason I'm sharing this is I want you all to be able to hear about this and go over to voters or people who are on the fence about who they're going to vote for, and for you to say, hey, it doesn't matter what conservative ends up in office, here's what they're planning on doing. So I want you guys to come up with a plan in your head, a couple short sentences. Somebody says that climate is important to them. Have on the top of your head Project 2025, this is what conservatives plan on doing should they be elected into office. Because there are going to be conservatives who do care about, the environment and the places that we live in. We see it with the flooding. This is something that is important to people, but people need to have the resources and the knowledge about it. Go ahead, Lauren.
One more thing that I'll say, not even just environment, but even the most conservative people don't like paying full cost for things, because lots and lots and lots of things that we pay for here are subsidized by the federal government. All of that gets taken away. They like to claim they don't like, quote unquote, living off of the government, but living in the United States of America, we all are.
Yep.
Good point.
Okay, so that was the last statement. I'll just leave you with that. Think about what you're going to tell voters if they care about EPA and they're on the fence. Definitely bring up Project 2025 and put that in the back of your mind the next time you're speaking with people. Oh yeah, but we are going to continue talking about Project 2025. This was just, we're talking about EPA today because it was on par with our topic, but there will be other sections we are going to cover in the coming months. So thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's that time. Get your tickets out, your raffle tickets, and, oh, you want me to? Yeah. Oh, okay, you got your raffle tickets? I'm not looking.
All right.
0199803. Ready? All right.
Okay, with that being said, we're going to close the event for tonight. Thank you all for coming. And, we have one last question? Oh, come on up, what? Please, come on up.
And next month, do we know what next month is?
Next month is
June 5th.
Juneteenth. And so
Oh.
we're working on.
Okay.
Oh, the agenda.
Yeah.
For Juneteenth.
Cool.
So,
Hi everyone, I will be quick. I know I've already kind of been speaking a lot tonight. Environmental stuff is kind of my bread and butter though. I just wanted to invite all of you to two events on June 1st and June 2nd. On June 1st from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. it's Saturday at Jackson Park. I'm having my canvassing kickoff. I would love to have all of you there. I will send out information to have the club send out as well, since I am your endorsed candidate. But would love to have all of you out there. Bring your friends, bring family members, bring your dogs if you have dogs. And additionally, on Sunday, June 2nd, from 2 to 4 p.m., our club president, Tina Reinberg, is hosting a fundraiser for me at her home. It's gonna be a welcome summer fundraiser, and really excited to invite you all to that. So again, I will send it out, but hope to have you. Again, if any of you are interested in having me over at your home to share with your neighbors, or you want to chat with me about specific issues, it doesn't have to be an event, it can also be one-on-one. Please let me know. And I also see Miriam's hand up.
Your name and what you're running for?
Yes, Lauren Casares for La Mesa City Council. Thank you.
Does anyone else have an announcement?
What was the last name?
Take the flyers home.
Casares.
That's Merle.
Casares, right?
Casares. I'll send you the stuff because I'm gonna have a meeting with her, but end of July. Her and Tracy.
Okay, be sure to take your name tags off.
Together for later in the year with Sarah. And
I always go home with mine.
Please.
I'm trying to, I mean, that's the thing is, Sarah's, we're not, well, I mean, with everything going on in
She
the
doesn't
world,
have time.
it's a little nuts, but I like trying to do joint stuff with local candidates as much as possible. To kind of like double dip on the people showing up.
Absolutely. I think that one of the things that is great that Sarah does that a lot of us do, she comes to local events. She comes back and she comes to local events.
That's why I'm like so happy to work, because she likes doing that. Like she doesn't, like I don't have, nobody, she actually likes just meeting and talking to people.
Yeah.
Like a normal human being.
Yeah.
Like when
I mean, Daryl, I said, just all over wanting to know what his